Anyway, yeah, let's talk about the markets, shall we?
Yeah,
So
let's dig into it.
let's dig. Let's do a little digging. It's been a roller coaster week in the Nasdaq.
Oh my gosh, it sure has.
Let me pull up the old NQ
It
chart.
sure has, bud.
Oh baby, this is our chart from last week. Still got it. So I think I talked about how last week I was kind of expecting a bounce from around this sort of 17,400-ish level. We kind of sent through it a little bit, but we are bouncing now. Facebook destroyed us the other day with earnings,
God, that was so
or Meta.
that
Sorry,
was so weird. So did you actually did you catch up on those earnings, or you just
No,
just
I
watching
just
candles?
saw like candle, and I was like, ooh,
So those earnings were fucking bonkers.
catch me up.
So Facebook is $1 trillion business, and it increased revenue by 27%. Like, that is not a bad report.
Seems good.
It's
Seems good.
It's incredible. And the market hated it, of course. I guess there's always some reason, like if it's not the actual results, then it's like the guidance, and if it's not the guidance, well then it's like capex, or there's always some fucking reason. But
What was the did you even know?
yeah, I think this narrative was about just their guidance.
Oh, dude,
going
there it is.
forward.
I was looking at the chart. I was like, oh, I don't see the candle. Then I'm like, oh,
It's all the way down there.
oh shit. Okay, so this bad boy, wow, that's a hell of a day. So we went negative 18.5%
Yeah,
in
that
one daily range.
Yeah, the 18, it was like down that far in after hours trading, and I was watching it, and I was texting my partner Dave, and he was just like, "Oh God, here we go."
Oh God. I
And
know. Well, if you zoom out, it doesn't look so bad, I guess.
just
Do you own any Meta?
yeah, I do. This is my favorite company in the Mag 7 right now.
Oh,
I love it.
what do you like about it?
Ah, man, so much. Actually, if you're ever gone, or maybe I can do it when you're here, but when I went on that Tulum trip, one of the guys who was on that trip was a VP of comms at Facebook or Meta, and he's like, if you ever want to talk about that on the show, I can give you all the talking points that we're gonna go through. He writes the earnings calls and stuff. He's like, I can give you all the reasons why you should like this thing, and he was going through it with me. And I'm like, yeah, I would probably like those points.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do that. I mean, I have a feeling we may have some downtime
Yeah.
over the next quarter or two,
Well, yeah.
as I've mentioned.
If we go sideways.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. I know I dropped that on you guys as the charts were changing in front of me. But yeah, I mean, one of the main reasons I kind of feel that way is the Nasdaq chart, right? So for those of you who don't know, I mean, Bitcoin at this point is just like a gigantic kind of leveraged Nasdaq trade.
Seems like it
Has been for a while. We like to think it is and will decouple, but I see no decoupling yet. And Nasdaq looks pretty ugly to me. All stock market, Nasdaq, S&P, whatever. But the NQ, the Qs, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we talked about how I was looking for a best case scenario, like 16.6 or so on the NQs, but or the Qs, but then possibly like a move all the way down here to 14s, which would be a little bit bloody. That's another
that would
17 or so percent down.
That would
from
sting.
here.
I am not positioned for that.
I don't think anybody is. That's the kind of thing that worries me. Is like I don't like being on the same side of the boat as everybody.
Yeah.
Last summer was not on the same side of the boat. A little nerve wracking, but felt okay. Now it's just like I keep I just feel like the butterfly meme guy. Like I'm just looking around. Like, is this complacency? This is like the main.
Dude, you just love being contrarian, I think.
I mean, not really. I was like a boltard for the entirety of the year, right? And I think everybody was kind of a boltard. So it's selective. I do have a bit of a contrarian mind, I think.
Yeah.
Which is good if you're. I think if you're going to be a trader, you have to be like, is everybody wrong?
Yeah.
All the time. It's hard to make. I shouldn't say that. It's actually easy to make money when you're on the same side. It's
follow.
It's called trend following.
Yeah.
I hate when people say that. I just repeated it just because it was a thing in my head, but actually it's not true. It's very easy to make money following the herd, but at a certain point you can get wrecked. You have to know when to get out of Dodge. So, yeah, a really ugly weekly candle on stocks last week. That candle doesn't look to me like it's just gonna like yo-yo back up and everything's gonna be fine. Usually. That's a big expansion candle. Usually implies we're going lower. Aside from some exogenous event like Jerome just says something fucking crazy, or Janet just decides to do some weird shenanigan. Like any sort of event like that. Obviously, we could be reverse, and everything should be fine. But that's hopium, and we're not.
Yeah.
Dealing on hope.
Well, I feel like I'm probably getting a little complacent because I'm in the mind when I saw even Meta and everything, I was like, oh, that's probably a buying opportunity. And I'm also thinking like this is just like a healthy pullback at this point. I'm probably demonstrating that complacency.
Yeah, we're like, dip, buy dip. I see dip, I buy dip. You're just like the
right.
monkey.
Right. And it's like
monkey.
It's worked for so long too.
Yeah. Yeah, and you. And at the beginning of this, like if you can kind of teleport yourself back, like the thing pumped and like you didn't want to buy, and when there was a dip, you were like, nope, that's it, it's going lower, it's going low, it's going to new lows, and then eventually the market goes like, oh wait, I buy dip, I make money, and everybody does that, and then it stops working.
Well, we had some more earnings come out since like today.
I saw a nice candle today. I was looking at my computer and then I saw a candle and I was like, ooh, who had earnings? And it was Microsoft.
We had Microsoft and Google. Many others. There was like in the last 48 hours, there was 1,100 companies reporting earnings. So Google and Microsoft were the most prominent.
Be interesting. So we'll see how the market reacts to that, I guess. But like as of now, my generalized plan on stocks is like if I get a pullback into kind of this 1,800ish area, even a little higher,
a dad cat bounce, perhaps.
If we get a little dad cat bounce here. Definitely looking to hedge with some puts.
Yeah.
You guys are aware that like I think I talked in detail about my Coinbase hedging plan last week. So not gonna talk about that again too much.
But you did good you've done well on these so far.
The puts are the short calls. They are printing right now. It's doing well. Nothing too new to report to you guys there. If you want a little bit of a coin analysis, you can check out last week's episode. I talked about it in a little more detail.
I'm also on the opposite side of that trade. I'm selling puts and buying calls. So like the little inverse of you.
Well, we got earnings next week, right? Is that next week already?
Yeah.
May 2nd?
May 2nd.
May 2nd. So keep an eye out for that. I think we talked about maybe it's a kind of like a good sell the news opportunity or a de-risking opportunity if you happen to be like overly exposed. I don't really care. Like, look, like zooming out, I still think all this stuff is going higher.
Okay, this was my favorite thing that we talked about on last pod, where it's like we all know that the market is going to pump higher going into November, probably. So it's like
probably.
Probably nothing certain, but like this is all kind of just like. We're all playing a game of chicken to be like, oh, let's squeeze out some more gains on the downside before we go back to up mode.
Yeah, or just looking at what is the risk reward from here. Like, how good is your risk reward buying, $66,000 Bitcoin if that's where we are tomorrow or the day after,
right.
Versus what can happen.
I think that's a great question and a great way to put it.
You want to shade your exposure based on the risk reward. Like you don't always want to be like 100% balls long in,
unless you like hold for 7 years or something. You're that guy.
Yeah, I'm talking about the type of person who is like more. I'm sure most of the people who listen to this podcast didn't just click buy on Bitcoin 8 years ago and then log
Yeah.
off. Like
Yeah, they're trading.
they're here like asking me about like meme coins and
There's a lot of
Tucker and
meme
yeah,
coins in
like
here.
Jasmy coin. What the hell is Jasmy coin, by the way? Somebody just drop that in the chat.
You got to give it a little context to that.
Yeah, like so maybe we'll look at that later. I don't know what it is though. So a fair warning. So yeah, so I think people are thinking about this, and like when the risk reward gets not as good, you have to shave off some exposure. I'm not saying like sell everything, but like just take some profits, move into some cash. Like
Yeah, and I like the TradFi version of that, where you can like maintain your long exposure and hedge using options or something. Like with the coins, it's harder. I guess you could like do some perp stuff and hold spot.
yeah.